Welcome to the First Unitarian Fellowship of Nanaimo. My name is Catherine Hazel, and I am your service leader for this morning. Whatever your ethnicity, theological belief, gender, sexual orientation, age, and everything else that makes you who you are, please know that you are warmly welcome in our community. If this is your first time with us, a very special welcome to you. If you are joining us online, please consider sharing your contact information with us so that we can keep in touch. For those of us in the hall, please remember to turn your cell phones off or put them on vibrate. We have a wonderful website, ufon.ca, that's spelled UFON.ca, and invite you to check it out for more detailed information about who we are, the services we offer, and how you can connect with us. We acknowledge today that we meet on the unceded traditional territory of the Snuneymuxw First Nation. As Unitarians, we are committed to the work of reconciliation required to address the harm done to all Indigenous peoples and their cultures by non-Indigenous peoples. We have much to learn from the Indigenous perspective, that the earth is the source of all life, and that our responsibility is to honor and care for it. It is time for today's announcements. The flowers we see on our screen this morning are from a slide of a rainbow pride garden on the website of Swanson's Nursery in Seattle, supplied by Debbie Goodman, to acknowledge the pride events happening in Nanaimo this week. Did you know that our hall is a fragrance-free zone? Some people have severe adverse reactions to scented items, including laundry fragrances, lotions, shampoos, and colognes. As we all contribute to our welcoming environment, we ask that each of us be respectful of others' sensitivities, including scents. And a wee reminder, there is a general meeting after today's service at 12:30 p.m. The main order of business is to approve the budget for the next year. There will also be an update on our summer plans and the ministerial search. Next Sunday, June 19th, is our flower ceremony service, and we are asking everyone to bring flowers that are sustainable and ethical. For example, ones that are wild, home, or locally grown. In accordance with our fragrance-free policy, please avoid heavily scented flowers. For those of you attending on Zoom, we invite you to bring your flowers with you to the screen. Wear them in your hair, behind your ear, or on your lapel for everyone to enjoy. And now I would like to call on Don Gayton for a very special announcement.
Thank you. So my name's Don Gayton, and I'm the treasurer here at First Unitarian Fellowship of Nanaimo. So my announcement today is we're kicking off our roof capital campaign. And it's going to run from today, and it's going to end on September 18th, which is the AGM. So our goal is $50,000, but our stretch goal is $100,000. Because if we can reach $100,000, we could finish the roof without having to borrow any money, which would be very nice. And we're dedicating the campaign. Oh, I got this great logo now. Marla did it, so these will be available for pickup. Anyway, the campaign is dedicated in the memory of Sam Costco, longtime member of the fellowship who died suddenly last year. He was among the earliest supporters of purchasing the building in the first place, and he was a key member on the joint building committee, overseeing, directing many maintenance and improvement items, and of course, roof issues. So what do we hope? So we hope to raise the money. How do you donate? I'm sure everyone's chomping at the bit. First by check, which is the usual thing, but this is a foundation fundraiser. It's not for the fellowship. Remember, we have two organizations. The foundation owns the building, so the foundation has to do the roof. And so if you're making out a check, don't make it out to the First Unitarian Fellowship, make it out to the Unitarian Foundation of Nanaimo. And we'll be sending out an email with all this information. And second, by e-transfer. Now this is very exciting because we just set this up yesterday. Now we have a dedicated, you don't have to go to the general one. We now have a dedicated one for the foundation, the email with automatic deposit. So it's foundationdonation@ufon.ca. And it's set up for auto deposit, so you don't have anything. Just if you put a memo, if you're doing e-transfer, in the memo line, say it's for the roof. So that's it. I hope people donate well.
To find out about all the special events, groups, and meetings taking place in the fellowship, either go to the calendar on our website or read the weekly update email sent to you on Thursdays. Let us now enter into sacred time. Patrick, Josh, and the fabulous Fufonics will lead us into worship through music.
All right, good morning. The Fufonics are going to file up here, and we are going to sing for you. And today was the last Fufonics rehearsal of the year, of the season, and very, very much looking forward to starting again in the fall and having a more normal choir year. So anybody who wants to Sorry, what am I saying? Sorry. All right. We're gonna keep being just about as weird as possible. But we're very much feeling that we're going to be, having a COVIDless choir year, and I feel like it's okay to hope things again. It's feeling a little bit happier to do that. Oh boy, I didn't plan on talking this much, but here we go. Look out for some announcements of choir things happening again in the fall. We would love for any and all of you to come sing with us. Somebody just this morning said to me, "What do I need to do to join the choir?" And I said, "Show up." Show up at a rehearsal. In the fall, we'll be starting new songs, and I have this idea germinated in my head of a fun end of summer choir open house. Anybody can come sing with no recruitment pressure of any kind. You can just come and we'll sing anything that we want to sing that's fun. So look out for announcements for that. Anyways, here we go. We're gonna sing a song that is probably familiar to you all, so if you feel like singing along, go ahead. But we're going to sing it in 4-part harmony, and this is Here We Have Gathered.
good to see so many of you here in the hall this morning, and so good to see faces, your presence on screen. The human spirit is a creative thing, and it has inspired to marry melody and words for thousands of years. And sometimes the result has changed our world. From the very personal middle of the night song that spoke directly to our broken heart, to the anthem that united a population. I'm sure each of us can think of a dozen songs that changed our world and united us with people the world over. Pete Seeger, some of you might remember, was a Unitarian, believed passionately that people should sing in groups, in public, and not just in church. He said in a PBS movie about his life entitled Pete Seeger, The Power of Song, "Once upon a time, wasn't singing a part of everyday life as much as talking and physical exercise and religion? Our distant ancestors, wherever they were in the world, sang while pounding grain and paddling canoes or walking long journeys. Can we begin to make our lives once more all of a piece, finding the right songs and singing them over and over in a way to start, is a way to start. And when one person taps out a beat while another leads into the melody, or when three people discover a harmony they never knew existed, or a crowd joins in on a chorus as though to raise the ceiling a few feet higher, then they also know there is hope for this world." Our theme this month, Singing and the Art of Communion, continues today with songs that changed our world.
Now join me in saying our chalice lighting words. We light our chalice for the spark and flame of the creative energy that moves through our lives and through the universe.
So we have a rare treat for you today, a feast of song. And one of the things I love about creating services is all the learning that I get to do. For today's service, I've discovered new songs, reconnected to old songs, and learned new history and stories for familiar songs. And this morning, Patrick, the fabulous Fufonics, and our guest singer, Josh Holloway, and I get to share them with you. Who could have imagined that one person or a whole population could change this world, their very future, just by singing? Such a simple thing, a few notes, a bunch of words, and the human voice. But it is also luck and wisdom and deep listening to the yearnings and the courage of the human heart. Written in a cafe in 10 minutes, Bob Dylan dismissed Blowing in the Wind as being just another song. Little could he know that this throwaway song would become the anthem of the American Civil Rights Movement, the anti-war movement, and the anti-nuclear movement. Dylan sang it at a voter registration rally in Greenwood, Mississippi. Peter Yarrow sang it during the march from Selma to Montgomery. And Peter, Paul, and Mary sang it during the March on Washington, just hours before Martin Luther King Jr. declared, "I have a dream." According to the music critic Greil Marcus, Blowing in the Wind was a song that the times seemed to bring forth, a political protest song, a poetic, even spiritual song, alluding to racial justice, alluding to the desire for peace, alluding to the human yearning for a world that was rooted in dignity and respect. In the song, The speaker asks a series of unanswerable questions about how long it will take for humanity to establish lasting peace, compassion, and justice. And then over and over again ends with a mysterious question. The answer is blowing in the wind, as if the wind knew, as if the wind is part of us, and that we can know the answer if we just listen. We walk many roads, we sail many seas, we come to many junctions in our life when we have a chance to learn from our experiences and to make different choices. This is when we need to listen to the wind. It's hard enough for one man to learn what is truly valuable, truly integral to who he is and what his life means. But for a society, for a whole country, to choose life over death, to choose peace over war, to choose equality for all, is near impossible unless everyone listens to the wind. You might hear this song and think how idealistic people were back in the 60s, or how naive. Are we really more cynical today, or more hopeless? And yet, can we afford to despair? Can we afford to give up? This song asks only the question, dare we listen to the wind? I turn it over to the men of the Fufonics and Patrick.
All right. And to all of you, please do stand up as you're willing and able and join in. And thank you to the slide sharers for their big job all the time that they do. Everybody ready? Yeah. How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? Yes, and how many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? Yes, and how many years must a man have found before he can hear people cry? Yes, and how many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many years can a mountain exist before it's washed to the sea? Yes, and how many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? Yes, and how many times can a man turn his head, pretending he just doesn't see? The answer, my friends, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Well done, everyone, with your first song. Arise, wretched of the earth. Arise, convicts of hunger. Reason thunders in its volcano. This is the eruption of the end, of the past. Let us wipe the slate clean. Masses, slaves, arise, arise. The world is about to change its foundation. We are nothing. Let us be everything. This is the final struggle. Let us gather together, and tomorrow, the Internationale will be the human race. Those are the original lyrics to the Internationale, a song that truly did change the world. It is one of the most universally translated political anthems in history. The song's been translated into Russian and English, Chinese, Bengali, Filipinian, and Korean, to name a few. It's been the soundtrack for as many movies as from as many countries. It's been adopted as the anthem of many workers' movements the world over. In fact, it was adopted by the Soviet Russia in 1918 as their national anthem. The song emerged out of the Internationale Congress, an alliance of European workers, socialists, communists, and anarchists, which was first held in 1864. Eugene Poitier was in attendance and inspired by the comradeship and hope of the Workers' Congress to write those first French words. The first Congress followed the 1863 January uprising in Poland, where French and British workers started to talk about developing a closer working relationship to discuss the needs for an international organization that would protect the rights of workers and prevent, among other things, the import of foreign workers to break strikes. Not much has changed in 200 years. Hu Chibai was a leader of the Chinese Communist Party in the late 1920s. He traveled to Europe to attend the fourth Internationale Conference, and because he could not join in the spontaneous singing of l'Internationale, when he returned to China, he translated it into a form of Chinese that anyone in China would be able to understand. While the song has a wide influence as part of the official Chinese ideology, it has also been used in countercultural movements. For example, it was sung by the demonstrators at the 1989 Tiananmen Square protests during their final agonizing retreat from that square. In the same year, in 1989, it was a tumultuous year right around the world, where revolutions were dropping governments one after another. A wave of dictatorships were overthrown through the Eastern Bloc, and the Berlin Wall opened the east to the west of Europe. And to bring it even closer to home, that even same year, Pete Seeger, in recognition of the world events and the rising voices of ordinary people, asked the English singer-songwriter and left-wing activist Billy Bragg to sing l'Internationale with him at the Vancouver Folk Festival. The Internationale may have been sung in more languages and by more people than any other song. Let us hear it now.
So first I'm going to sing the song in its original French for you, and then Josh is going to sing the Billy Bragg translation. Debout les damnés de la terre, debout les forçats de la fer, la raison donnant son cratère, c'est l'éruption de la fin. Du passé faisons table rase, foule esclave debout de
oppression, for the tyrants fear your might. Don't cling so hard to your possessions, for you have nothing if you have no right. Let racist ignorance be ended, for respect makes the empires fall. Freedom is merely privilege extended, unless enjoyed by one and all. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The Internationale unites the world in song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the human
Marion, Indiana, 1930. A mob gathered after a murder of a white man, about 5,000 from all over the state. They gathered outside the jail where 3 black men were held. One was only 16 years old. The mob broke down the jail. They beat up Thomas Shipp to death and then threw a rope around his neck and hoisted his body and the body of Abraham Smith into a poplar tree, where they hung like strange fruit. There is a famous photograph taken of this lynching by Lawrence Bettler, which shows this scene and the white men and women in almost a party atmosphere, smiling and pointing to the men. Strange Fruit is an anti-lynching anthem by the great Billie Holiday, sung by the great Billie Holiday in 1939. Its lyrics symbolize the brutality and racism of the practice of lynching, the cruelty and pain of that injustice suffered by so many Black people then and today. Harlem Renaissance jazz icon Billie Holiday did not write it, though. It was written by a Jewish high school teacher from New York, Abel Meeropol. He'd written it about 10 years earlier after seeing that picture of the lynching. Meeropol first wrote it as a 3-stanza poem and then set it to music with his wife, Laura Duncan, and they performed it as a protest song in the late 30s in many venues, including Madison Square Garden. When Billie Holiday sang it, it was different, though. Black Americans saw themselves being seen as strange fruit, and it was like taking off their blinders. Hearing the words strange fruit, it is said, gave them the clarity and focus for their anger. The song galvanized the Black population and those white who were sickened by the injustice of lynching. Billie Holiday singing Strange Fruit is considered the beginning of the civil rights movement. Holiday's version was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 1968, and she received 7 Grammys posthumously. In 1999, Time magazine named it the Song of the Century. And in 2002, Strange Fruit was selected for preservation by the National Congress for its culture, historical, and aesthetical significance. Let us listen to Billie Holiday sing Strange Fruit.
Southern trees bear strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root. black bodies swinging in the southern breeze, strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Pastoral scene of the gallant South, the bulging eyes and the twisted mouth, scent of magnolia, sweet and fresh. Then the sudden smell of burning flesh. Here is a fruit for the crows to pluck, for the rain to gather, for the wind to suck, for the sun to rock, for the tree to drop. Here is a strange and bitter cry.
I'm quoting from the Kennedy Center education page. We shall overcome first appeared as a protest song during the 1945-46 labor strike against American tobacco in Charleston, South Carolina. African-American women strikers seeking a pay raise to 30 cents an hour sang as they picked. I Will Overcome was a favorite song of Lucille Simmons, one of the strikers. But she gave the song a powerful sense of solidarity by changing the I into we as they sang it together. Other lyrics were improvised for pro-union purposes, including "We will organize," "We will win our rights," "We will win this fight." In 1947, Simons brought the song to Highlander Folk School and shared it with other labor activists there. Zilphila Horton, head of the school's cultural program, learned it and later taught it to Pete Seeger. Martin Luther King Jr. came to the school to give a speech, and he heard the song for the first time sung by Pete Seeger. On his drive home afterwards, he noticed that he was humming it to himself, and he said to his companions, "There's something about that song that haunts you." We shall overcome. The will was changed to shall by Pete Seeger and became the civil rights anthem in the 50s and the 60s. Protesters sang it as they marched for voting rights. They also sang it as they were beat up and attacked by police dogs and dragged off to jail for breaking laws enforcing segregation. When white thugs staged a nighttime raid on the Highlander School in the late 50s, it inspired a new verse to We Shall Overcome. Miles Horton recounted what happened that night. He said, "A group of young people, a youth choir, was happening at Highlander. We were looking at a movie called Face of the South. It was dark in the room. Suddenly, Raiders came in with flashlights. They must have been vigilantes and some police officers, but they weren't in uniform. And they demanded that the lights be turned on, but they couldn't get anybody at Highlander to do it. And they were furious, running around with flashlights, yelling. In the meantime, the kids started to sing, "We Shall Overcome." It made them feel good. The raiders yelled, "Shut up, turn the lights on." And then some kid said, "We're not afraid." And then they started singing, "We are not afraid. We are not afraid." And that's when that verse was born. So over the years, "We Shall Overcome" made the leap overseas, becoming a protest song among freedom movements across the world. It's been sung by protesters in China, Northern Ireland, South Korea, Lebanon, and all kinds of places in Eastern Europe. In India, it is known as Humyang Kamla Jab, a song most every school kid knows by heart. The world today, it seems even harsher than the world 75 years ago. We're living in a system where we can't trust our leaders to tell us the truth, where truth itself is being turned on its ear, where yes means no and no means nothing. Will we ever overcome the evils of racism, of discrimination, of inequality? Will we ever overcome the economic systems that support some people getting incredibly wealthy while others fall deeper into poverty? Will we ever overcome the environmental disaster bearing down on us? It seems so never ending, so hopeless sometimes. And maybe this is when we need to sing a song like this, to give us courage and to give us hope and to bolster our resilience. Dare we not believe that we shall overcome? So let us sing this song that changed the world for so many, that gave courage to face enormous obstacles to living with peace and dignity.
And again, please stand as you're willing and able and join us.
So
Now, once upon a time, women were not accepted as equal to men. Hard to believe these days. Women were not ministers, they weren't lawyers or truck drivers or carpenters, and there weren't any songs about strong women. So Australian singer-songwriter Helen Reddy said this. I thought about all these strong women in my family who had gotten through the Depression and the world wars and the drunken and abusive husbands, but there was nothing in music that reflected that. So she wrote a song that did. I Am Woman. It was set to music by Ray Burton, and then Helen faced another uphill battle getting her label to release it because the radio stations didn't think anybody wanted to listen to it. Helen's husband, Jeff Wald, summarized the response he heard from the record label. And I envision a man here chomping on a big cigar, saying this, women's lib crap is gonna kill her. Why are you letting your wife do this stuff? But the song got snuck onto the radio stations, and it caught the attention of women like a forest fire and almost instantaneously became the anthem of the women's movement at that time. So that in 1973 at the National Organization for Women, founder Betty Friedan wrote how a gala in Washington closed with the playing of I Am a Woman, and she said, suddenly, women got out of their seats and started dancing around the hotel ballroom and joining hands in a circle that got larger and larger until maybe 1,000 of us were dancing and singing, I am strong, I am invincible, I am woman. It was a spontaneous, beautiful expression of the exhilaration that we all felt in those years, women really moving as women. And this year marks its 50th anniversary. Let's sing it. We're having some technical problems. No technical problems. So I want you to imagine a young man somewhere in Saskatchewan or in a small town in northern BC, young man who knows that he's different from all the other boys. A young man scared of the feelings that move through him, feelings that he can't dare tell anyone for fear of the hatred and the discrimination he knows he would receive. So alone in the night, he listens to his transistor radio, to the voice of Judy Garland singing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow." Skies are blue, and dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Everyone who has a dream singing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow" can feel the possibility that their dream really will come true. When Judy Garland died of an accidental overdose at 47, she was a superstar of stage and screen and an icon of the LGBTQ+ communities, admired for her talent and her resilience as a woman who struggled to live and love without restraint. When trans activist Sylvia Rivera heard of Judy's death on June 27th, 1969, she said, "It's the end of an era. The greatest singer, the greatest actress of my childhood will never again fly over the rainbow. There is no one left to look up to." So in grief, she and her friends went down to the Stonewall Inn to be together. And in the wee hours of the next day, the police raided Stonewall. Their raids were frequent, but for some reason, and it might have been the grief, which can be a powerful liberator, that night was different because the gay and trans folk, they fought back. And the Stonewall riots of June 1969 changed the community and changed society. No longer would gay, lesbian, and trans folk hide in the dark. If there was a blue sky of freedom, if there was a blue sky world where they could live free with respect and dignity, then Stonewall and the many Stonewall-type rebellions were necessary. So in honor of Pride Month, in honor of every young boy and girl, every trans and non-binary gender fluid person who believes in the rainbow of freedom and respect, let's listen to Josh sing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow."
And by the way, happy 100th birthday to Judy Garland 2 days ago. Josh is actually going to sing the verse first, which is hardly ever heard and is a beautiful part of the song. And then, of course, I don't even need to say this, but please do sing along when we get to the chorus. Yeah.
When all the world is a hopeless jumble and the raindrops tumble all around, heaven opens a magic lane. When all the clouds darken up the skyway, there's a rainbow highway to be found, leading from your window to a place behind the sun, just a step beyond the rain.
Well, I want to give a big, big, big thank you. Oh, we need Kleenex. Here we go. I want to thank Josh so much, and Patrick, the fabulous Fufonics, and all of you for bringing together this service this morning. We just couldn't have done it without all of you. It was a challenge to choose the songs today because there are just so many possibilities. To those of you who sent in suggestions, thank you. Many of you suggested Imagine. Thank you for that one. Maybe we'll sing it later. Then there's Aretha Franklin's Respect. The Beatles, I Want to Hold Your Hand. Do They Know It's Christmas? A Change Is Gonna Come. Hallelujah. Even Baby Beluga. The beginning of every environmentalist. So I encourage you to sing your favorites later today, alone or in a group, loudly or softly. Let your voice and your heart move together. Thank you for listening and singing this morning.
The Greening Tree Project is your opportunity to tell us your stories about what you have done for climate action. Anything counts. The stories can be about a minute long, and we can do a couple of people a week. We also encourage you to do more than one story or one action over the course of the year. Does anyone wish to tell their story today? If so, please raise your electronic hand via Zoom or come to the mic in front of the greening tree.
Is there anybody in Zoom that has a story to tell? Not seeing anybody here.
Okay, Bev, come on up in front of the mic.
My story is about my ongoing battle to stop buying stuff and walk away from, any silly thing like that that tempts me. It was my birthday, you see, so I was going to buy myself a present, but I didn't.
I love that. That's terrific. You might feel like your leaf is just a tiny flutter in the wind, but it will help strengthen our tree, and our tree will help build a forest towards a just, safer world for all. Now that we are back to hybrid services, we welcome your donations and pledges in 3 different ways. First, we have set up the Unitarian Fellowship bank account to automatically deposit e-transfers sent to info@ufon.ca. Second, you can do the old-fashioned thing and write a check and pop it in the mail. And third, if you're in the hall, there is a basket in the back of the room where you can place your donation after the service. Our charity in June is Eco Justice Canada, which operates on the belief that effective laws can protect the planet and hold those in power to account. Eco Justice helps citizens take governments and polluters to court, expose illegal practices, and shape new laws to meet the urgency of the climate and ecological crises. If you would like to donate to Eco Justice Canada, please note that on your e-transfer or check. We are grateful for your offering. We are nearing the end of our service. After we sing Carry the Flame, you have the opportunity to join a social group. There are breakout rooms available both online and in the hall for 30 minutes. Might be a little bit shorter because of our general meeting, but anyway, it will be there. Thank you for your participation today.
Close Closing words. No child is born silent. Each of us is meant to use our voices, to speak up for ourselves, to name our fears and our dreams. No child comes into this world without a creative spirit. We are meant to use it, to allow it to blow through our lives, to sing freely, to dance and to draw and to write without fear, to claim our full and beautiful creative selves.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. We'll now sing our final song, Carry the Flame. The words are on the back wall. Our custom is to stand and hold hands or touch elbows as you are comfortable.